Good evening and welcome everyone to the Scientist Reverse Grid League here in the Einstein League. Tonight we are driving at beautiful Zandy and Brazil. So two tracks that are quite similar to each other. Let's see who gets the upper hand here first at Zandvoort. The track in the country of our new world champion Max Verstappen in the Netherlands. And on tonight's grid will also be the Dutchman himself will start on pole position in his orange McLaren in front of the Orange Army, ahead of both Ferraris and Mumram and D'Cunha. Mosher starting from P4, followed by Spooner, Scientist and Professor Zoo. Rob, the other Dutchman, starting in P8, behind him Nick and Durdon in P10. Paul in the other McLaren starting from P11, Eskimo from P12, Wisburn P13 and Casto from P14 after receiving a back of the grid penalty after the last race. So Casto has to give it all to get some good positions here. The championship fight is still on. We go a little bit deeper into it in the next few minutes, but for now the boys are on the formation lap. Let's take a look at the tires. Only Professor Zoo and Castor are starting on mediums. Everyone else is starting on the soft compound of tire. The start will be absolutely crucial into that tight right-hander Tarzan corner, turn 1 as it's called. Will be really tight afterwards too, into turn 2, turn 3, and then the banking left-hander that goes a little bit uphill, really tricky on traction. So let's see what everyone is capable of doing there. We also have the full track map on, so you can follow your favorite driver on track. To number 3 will be also on, and we also take a look at the penalties and of course at the pit stops and position changes. But for now we will just enjoy the start. Go with the flow. Normally around Zandvoort you also get a safety car. Let's hope that stays in today, although it's the beautiful green Aston Martin. We can see that from here now. But we have green flags now. That means the 5 red lights will go on in a few moments. 2, 3, 4 and 5 red lights are on now. Will also be with the good start Mumram 2, so very nice start by the top 3 in Walterby, Mumram, D'Cunha. Oh, there's an Aston Martin spinning early and a Red Bull, so Durdon and Eskimo spinning into turn 1. I think there wasn't any contact, but I'm not sure. We see Mosher attacking D'Cunha for P3, and they touched. D'Cunha and Mosher touched, and I think Rob was also involved there. Oh, it's really tight. These guys are touching each other at a place where you normally don't touch anyone on track. Rob going down the inside, thinking of it in a better way now. Mosher back to P4, D'Cunha staying in P3. Walterby's gap to Mumram already 1.4 seconds. So brilliant start by the Dutchman in front of his crowd in an orange car. Rob is getting really close to Mosher. He already gained 3 positions here up to P5. Taking a tight line there by Rob over the curb. Normally that sets you really off, and Rob is going for it, both using ERS. Sector 3, Professor Zoo's out! Professor Zoo, the championship leader, is out of this race. Watching on board with Eskimo as we have a full car safety car. Paul is also out. They're both out at the end of the banking. Zoo's car already disappeared. Paul is there on the left side of the track. Eskimo, one of the few ones, including Durdon and Wisburn, who can use the chance right now to pit. Eskimo is going onto the hard tires. Durdon is on mediums, and Wisburn also on mediums. So, yeah, these mediums won't be dead at the end of the day, but you will feel them, especially around Zandy. You feel these medium tires. The safety car is now waiting for the leader, Wisburn. Allowed to overtake the safety car, as is Durdon. Eskimo just coming out of the pits. Has to watch his delta, of course. If you violate the delta behind the safety car, you get a drive-through penalty, which you have to serve as soon as the safety car is in again. So you don't want that to happen. Walterby around the banking now, and he's staying out? Walterby is actually staying out? Why would you do that? But a lot of guys are staying out. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. So Monram uses the chance. Scientist and Casto Casto started on mediums. He has to go to the softs. That's a brave move, but what else? What else? You have to do that. You have to be brave. So I promised you guys to go a little bit deeper into the championship standings, and we're going to do that right now because we have the full car safety car, so that gives us at least another lap. For that, I'm going to jump into the championship standings on Discord, and right now, as it stands, Professor Zoo is the leader with 200.5 points, ahead of Rob with 162, Castor 149.5, Scientist 148.5, and Walterby with 144. So only 5.5 points between P3 and P5, between Casto, Scientist, and Walterby. A little bit ahead Rob with 162, and then big far ahead Professor Zoo with 200. But with the DNF of Professor Zoo, Rob, Casto, Scientist, and Walter can make a big jump in the standings. Rob already did that, starting from P8, now in P4. Walterby in P1 at the moment. We're gonna switch to the front to see if the safety car is in. No, safety car is staying out for another lap. What is Rob doing? I think Rob didn't pit. I think he stayed out. Maybe they're all speculating for another safety car, which is not that far away, the idea. Oh, Castor pitting again. Castor going back onto the mediums. Okay, yeah, that's a legit move. A legit move to make here. To not risk anything. It's now between Castor and Eskimo, who gets ahead here. And it's Eskimo by just 2/10. Oh, Castor will be punching the fucking air right now. But yeah, it is what it fucking is. So deal with that. We also gonna jump into the constructor standings right now, and that is Haas in P1 with 234.5 points, followed by Williams with 222, so only 12.5 behind Haas, and then 195.5 for Aston Martin, 190.5 for Alpine, and 186.5 for McLaren, and 186 for Mercedes. So that's too fucking tight for comfort, and too many 0.5s. So if you even followed that, you must be fucking confused by now. But yeah, safety cars coming in, so no more confusion regarding racing, because we will be back with racing in a few moments. Walterby in the lead will make the pace here. Around the banking now, and Walterby is pacing, and that's a good restart. Already gap of a second, but Dicunia's under attack from Moshe and Rob. This will be tight. Oh, Rob and Moshe touched. They still side by side. Rob going over the grass. Oh man, you have to chill here. You have to. It's so tricky. He's using all of his ERS now. Still behind Moshe. Nick in P5. Very, very close. He sees the gap on the inside. Moshe's closing the door. Oh my god. Why are you doing this to my heart rate? Moshe staying in P3 in front of Rob in P4. Nick and Spooner smelling blood in the water here. Everyone behind smelling blood. Really close behind Mumram now. Position change between Dordan and Eskimo, which resulted in a spin of Eskimo. I don't know why. It was just a spin. Don't know if it was on his own or caused by Dordan or by himself. Casto up to P10 for the moment. 1 second behind Wisbin. And Rob only 2 tenths behind Moshe. He's using all of his ERS, but it's just a waste of ERS, to be honest. He's down to 60% now. He lost 40% by just following Moshe. That's not best case scenario. Also not best case scenario is a 3-second time penalty to Nick, who lost the place to his teammate in Spooner. Maybe Nick got damaged. Maybe just had a snapping rear end. Who knows? But yeah, Rob and Moshe are still fighting. They touched again. Boys, fucking behave. So they touched again. Rob is now ahead of Moshe. Let's see if that goes into the incident report. Who knows? The stewards will have to deal with that. And Rob is trying to hunt down Ticunia now. Trying to get in DRS range. To get the open wing to defend from Moshe behind him. Oh, and Rob spins. That was a little bit too much, Rob. That was a little bit too much effort. And that's P10 for the moment. And that's also wing damage. So that's a guaranteed pit stop. Not under safety car conditions. So, yeah. That's pretty shit, to be honest. Moshe and Spooner fighting very, very hard here too. And Spooner's seen the gap on the inside. We're going on board with him to see how he deals with the pressure now. Rob just coming out of the pits, probably on mediums. We won't jump to him right now because we have a battle on our hands here. Walterby already 2.5 seconds ahead of Ticunia. Yellow flag sector 2, that's Nick! That's Nick. Nick spun, oh my god. He's in the gravel, that's unusual. Maybe he ran over the outside curb and couldn't control the car anymore. But that means Casto up to P8 already. He has DRS on Mumram. Mumram himself, of course. Well, I say of course, but right when I said it, he's out of the DRS of Wisbin. So big chance for Casto to overtake Mumram now. Both are mediums. Mumram a little bit on the grass. ERS and DRS for Casto. Easy overtake. Moshe into the pits. Casto P6 as a result of that. Of the overtake and Moshe pitting. What's the closest gap on track right now? It's Scientist. 7 tenths behind Spooner in P4 at the moment. Going to a different camera to watch that from a different angle. And let's not forget, Scientist has already pitted yet. You see they're here in the stops. So Scientist is our net leader at the moment. He already has pitted for mediums. Yellow flag, sector 2. Who is that? It's a blue car. I think it's Nick. I think it is Nick. It is Nick. Nick in sector 2. And he's just recovering. He's just at the same place. Let's switch to him to see where he is. Oh my god! His car is stuck on the curb. Fuck me. He reset the track, but yeah, to be honest, what else to do? You get disqualified. He was there around 25 to 30 seconds, so that's enough torture. Yellow flags, where is he? He's in the gravel. Yeah, absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible for Nick. Worst case scenario. Absolutely worst case. So the top 3 haven't pitted yet. Walter, D'Cunha and Spooner. Yellow flag, sector 1, sector 2. Sector 2 now. What is happening, boys? Sonic in last place, hasn't pitted yet, and the top 3 guys. Scientists are on net lead at the moment with a 2.5 second gap to Casto in P5 now. So as it stands, Scientists will take the lead ahead of Casto. Who would have thought that after the race start and the first pit stops? But yeah, that's why a pit stop on the safety car is a must and not a might. You just have to do it. Spooner getting closer and closer to D'Cunha, but he himself has Scientist on his neck, and D'Cunha is now pitting. Spooner can defend from Scientist because he has enough ERS and also the DRS, but Scientist is already down on ERS, which is absolutely shit, to say it like it is, because Casto behind him, 2.5 seconds behind him to be fair, has over 60% of ERS left, and Casto pitted on these mediums one lap later than Scientist, so his tires will be a little bit fresher at the end of the race, and he has more ERS. Let's see if that comes to effect. Walterby still leading this race with a 5.5 second gap ahead of Spooner, but to be honest, there's no way he will retain that lead, and he has to switch onto the medium tires. He's on the soft and he's now staying out as long as he can, but Spooner is coming into the pits and Scientist is now up to P2, Casto in P3, and let's see where the gap is. So the gap already came down to just 2 seconds. Mumram P4 now, Wisbin P5. Let's see, Durdan also probably overtaking Spooner. I'm not sure, that this could be pretty tight, but I think he has him. Oh, D'Cunha and Moshe also going through. So Spooner from P2 down to P9. Of course, right now he has the freshest mediums on track, but it's not like the guys in front of him on old mediums and he's on fresh softs. There's still a difference between these mediums if they're worn or fresh, but it's not as huge as it would be with soft tires. So really tricky now. Walterby, of course, had that 5.5 second gap. Yeah, but even with that, I think the best Walterby can do is P6 after his pit stop. Maybe staying out for another lap, just hoping for a safety car. It seems like he's coming in. He is coming in. That was a good entry. Scientist already on main straight. Casto gained another 2.5 tenths. And at this rate, Casto will catch him within the next 3 laps. And then we have a showdown for the last 3 laps. Oh, yellow flag sector 2. Mr. Nick Gagnola. That's a lot of damage to his wing. That's a lot of damage. No safety car at the moment. Still yellows, but no safety car. And to be honest, a safety car right now wouldn't help anyone. They would all come into the pits for fresh softs. Only the fresh medium guys probably would stay out. So the gap down to 1.2 seconds now. Casto is pushing. His ERS is down to around 50%, so he only lost around 10 to 15% of it. Moshe overtaking Durdan for P7. Wisbin really close behind Mumram with the help of DRS right now. Mumram down to 13% of ERS. Wisbin more than 70%, but he's just waiting for the long main straight. 5 seconds for Nick for speeding into the pit lane. Of course, his wing was gone. Really tricky to control the pace there. Wisbin now close behind Mumram. With the help of DRS and ERS, he might get him now. Let's see. Mumram's down on ERS, so that could be pretty easy for Wisbin. It is down the inside. Controls the inside here. Nice move by him. Wisbin up to P4 now. And Spooner is pitting again. Oh, that's wing damage. No, that's wing damage for Spooner. Yeah, absolutely horrible. Nightmare for the Williams here. Sweet dream for Casto, as he's only 1 second away from Scientist. And if he's coming into DRS on lap 14, then he will be right behind him on lap 15. The predicted lap for the possible overtake against Scientist. But let's see. It's really tricky to overtake around here. If you got a good exit out of this banking and enough ERS to defend, you can make it. Casto not allowed to open the wing at the moment, but it will come probably on this lap. Within DRS range right now. Eskimo overtaking Rob. That was quite sexy. Eskimo, the only guy on hard tires, but somehow he's making them work. Rob now with DRS behind Eskimo. He's already down on ERS. And Rob overtaking him down the inside. Eskimo trying to put the nose in. He's putting the nose into the back of Rob's car, but of course, nothing too crazy here. All within the rules, all Gucci. And with jumping to Casto now, who's within DRS range of Scientist. Sector 2, yellow flags. It's a Williams. I think this is Nick again. But no safety car. Lap 14 of 18. Last corner, the banking. 6/10s. Casto coming. DRS right now. ERS 2. He wants to go for the overtake right now. Is he doing it? Inside. He's making it stick. And that's P1 for Casto on lap 15. And now he tries to use his fresher mediums and his ERS to get away from Scientist. He just needs that 1 second. He needs one clean, phenomenal lap. And he's got it. But that's a lot of pressure. The gap is up to 6/10s. 7/10s. So Casto is pushing. He's really pushing. But Scientist not giving up. He will have the DRS on this little straight right now. And Casto has to push so hard now. But he's not doing it. So he knows that he won't make it out of that second. And he's playing the long game here. Because Scientist down to 20%. Casto around 50% of ERS. And I don't think Scientist is able to overtake Casto now. He doesn't have enough ERS. You need to be within 3 or 4 10s and have the DRS to get that overtake done. And Casto defended. He didn't even really defend. He didn't need to. But that, of course, is the closest battle on track. Little snap on the rear of Scientist's car. And Walterby recovering as good as he can, up to P3 at the moment. So he kind of threw away the win by not pitting under the safety car. But still, it's P3. And you have to remember, Professor Zoo, the championship leader at the moment, has DNF'd on lap 1. So Casto, Walterby and Rob and Scientist are those guys who need to take positions. And Casto, Scientist and Walterby doing a great job by doing that. But Rob, to be honest, he fucked it. Unfortunately, he really fucked it. He sent it into the wall and had to pit. Otherwise, he would be there with the guys fighting for the podium. Casto feeling pretty comfortable in the lead, increasing the gap to Scientist by 2 10s per lap. Already out of DRS. So I think Scientist has to give up the win here at Zandvoort. But still, it's P2. And let's remember where he started. He started in P6 down to up to P2. But phenomenal performance by Casto. Starting last, finishing first. At the moment. Of course, at the moment. I don't want to jinx anything. But what a performance. Also Wisbin gaining 9 positions from P13 up to P4. That's really fucking awesome. Mumram and Dacunia fighting for P5. Boys, your teammates, you have to stay fucking calm. But we're gonna jump on board with Dacunia because that's the closest battle on track right now. And Moshe at the rear of Dacunia, trying to sniff on P4 or P5 maybe. See what happens here. Dacunia of DRS and ERS. Oh, that's so close. He's going down the inside and he's making a corner. Nice braking by Dacunia. Good feeling on the brakes, making the move stick in a really clean way. Mumram not fighting that too hard. Great play, great game by both teammates here in Dacunia. Mumram defending P5 and P6 from Moshe. Castle's lead to Scientist 2.3 seconds at the moment. Coming into the last sector. We're staying on board with Moshe for the moment. We have another yellow flag. Who is that? That is Nick again, jumping on board with Castle, going around the banking on the main straight, finishing P1 in Zandvoort. Scientist coming home in P2, Walterby at home in P3, Wisbin around the last corner, finishing in P4. Both Ferraris coming around the banking now, followed by Moshe and the AlphaTauri for P5, 6 and 7 for Moshe. Durdan, Scientist teammate, going for P8 here. Nick DNF'd on the last lap. So Durdan P8, Rob P9. Really, really heartbreaking for Rob to not get a better position. Eskimo P10 and Spooner completing the Williams nightmare. A DNF for Nick and last place for Spooner here at Zandvoort. Casto getting Colt Masters drive of the day after gaining 13 positions, starting last, finishing first. It's a good challenge for YouTube maybe. Talking about driver of the day, you also have the chance, if you are a member of the Scientist Reverse Grid League, to vote for your personal favorite community driver of the day, which means if you think that maybe not Casto deserves the driver of the day, maybe Wisbin, maybe Walterby with that comeback he had at the end, then you can vote for someone else. It doesn't have to be the one that Colt Masters chose. It can, of course, be the one, but feel free in your vote. Just vote for your personal driver of the day, and the one with the most votes gets an extra championship point. It's also possible that points get divided. Maybe guys get half a point if we got two boys who have the same amount of votes, or even 3. It's tricky, but we're capable of doing everything here, so it's easy peasy. Here are your final results. Casto finishing P1 ahead of Scientist and Walterby, who gets the fastest lap. Wisbin P4, followed by Dacunia, Mumram, Moshe, Durdan, Rob, Eskimo, and Spooner. DNFs are Nick, Paul, and Professor Zoo. We're going to do a quick screenshot, so don't be worried about the blue screen. We'll be gone in a few seconds. And we will stay on here with the stream until Brazil. We're taking a little break, maybe around 10 minutes. Then we will be back. Welcome back everyone for second race of the night here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This beautiful track which has seen a lot of history all over the years, all over the decades, and also in this league, because this track is always entertaining. As you can see, the weather is not as sexy as it could be, but yeah, in Brazil we experienced a lot of weather changes over the years. Right now it's pretty cloudy, so we don't know if it's clearing up or if maybe some rain is coming during the race. Maybe only at the end of it. Really tricky. But right now the drivers are selecting their strategies and of course their setups for this track. Our winner of Zandvoort, Casto, started last, finished first. Scientist finished in P2, and Walterby finished in P3. Professor Zoo, your championship leader here in Einstein, DNF'd on lap 1, which makes the championship a little bit tighter now, because Casto, Scientist, Walterby and Rob are now pretty close behind Professor Zoo. Although Rob only did finish in P9, he still gets a few points, which will bring him a little bit closer to Professor Zoo. Spooner, the last finisher of Zandvoort, is starting in P1. Behind him in P2 is Eskimo, followed by Rob, Dordan, Moshe, both Ferraris in Monram and Cunha, Wisburn in P8, Walterby P9, Scientist P10, and your winner of Zandvoort in P11. Our 3 DNFs of Zandy, Nick, Paul and Professor Zoo are starting at the backers here in the reverse grid league. Only the last finisher will start on pole. Everyone who DNFs or gets disqualified will start at the back. As you can see on the bottom right, you have the full track map, so you can follow your favorite driver around. Also take a look at the tire choices, and they look quite different to Zandvoort. At Zandvoort we had 2 guys who started on the medium tires, in Scientist and Casto. This time it's really 50-50. We have P1 and P2 on softs, Rob and Durdan starting on mediums, then 4 guys on softs, another 4 on mediums from Walterby down to Nick, Paul starting on softs, and Professor Zoo in P14 starting also on the medium tires. There's a pretty big gap from Spooner and Eskimo to Rob at the moment. Of course, these medium runners have to try a little bit harder to warm up their tires. It's really tricky to get them heat up, especially on a short track like Brazil. Lap times are around 110, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit slower. We will see during the race, but it's a really short track, really tight layout. You have to have enough grip, especially sector 2, and also enough top speed to defend on the 2 big straights here, Brazil, on the main straight, and after the center S's on the next straight, where also DRS will be enabled. The grid is forming up for the start. We have green lights now. We don't see the traffic lights right now, but 5 red lights are out. And away we go. Eskimo with the good start, just wobbling around a bit, and Rob is up to P1. What a start by Rob, from P3 to P1. Aye. Durdan losing his car and sending himself and Eskimo into the wall, meaning Eskimo starting from P2 with initially very good start. The DNF on the first lap in the center S's. Virtual safety car, absolute heartbreak for Eskimo here with a brilliant start. Rob in P1 already more than 1 second away from Spooner, but behind the virtual safety car. You have to be very careful with your delta times. If you violate them and you're in the negative delta, you get a drive-through penalty. So the gap is now coming down a little bit. Rob on his mediums in P1. The next 4 guys behind him are on soft tyres. Spooner, Mumram, Moshe and Tacunia. Walter be the next in P6 on mediums. Wisbon on soft. Wisbon, Eskimo's teammate. Just trying to get good points for Red Bull here. Virtual safety car still out. Jordan coming into the pits now. He had damage from his incident with Eskimo. Of course, that doesn't bring Eskimo back. And Spooner now really close behind, like next to Rob. Down into turn 4 it is. Side by side. So Rob kind of slapped a little bit at the restart. And Spooner is right on his tail, has the fresher and better tires, and he's trying to use them to overtake Rob ASAP to get P1 back and to build a gap on his better tires. Let's see if Rob can manage the pace and the position. Of course, on lap 2 there's no DRS enabled, but it will be after the semi-S's. Because then we're on lap 3, DRS will be enabled, and then Spooner is allowed to use it on board with him, using ERS to get closer to Rob. Is he going for the overtake already? He's going down the inside, but he's waiting. He gets the better line of Rob. More pace, raw pace, softs inside, DRS, both using ERS, but no chance for Rob. P1 for Spooner. Mumram also getting very close to the rear of Rob. It looked like they touched a little bit, but no harm for Rob. Spooner P1, Rob P2, but it's not bad at all for Rob. He can stay behind Spooner, get the DRS, save his ERS a little bit, and just make those mediums work. Nick right now, the best of those guys who started at the back. He's already up to P8 on his medium tires. Started on P12, I think. Rob is within DRS range of Spooner. Mumram is just out of DRS, but just. Let's see if he can make it after the SNS. I think he's still in, but he lost a little bit of time then. He gets a 3-second time penalty. Rob is right behind Spooner with the help of DRS. Oh, let's see. I think he's really down on ERS already. That's only 40%. 49 for Tacunia, who's now up to P3. Mumram down to P4. And Wisbon is coming through on 60% of ERS. Overtook Mumram there for P4. Good move by him. And Rob desperately trying to stay in within DRS range to Spooner to have the chance to defend from Tacunia, because these softs, they will go off around lap 5, lap 6, and then the mediums will come into play. Until that point, Rob has to defend like a lion from Tacunia. But it seems like he's preparing for an overtake now. He's really, really close to Spooner, only 2/10 away. We're jumping on board. He's using ERS now, so he just wants to stay ahead of Spooner. He's attacking him. Spooner not even defending, because why would he? Oh, he is defending now on the outside, side by side. That's still the advantage of the soft tires. Spooner is ahead. Oh, sorry, Rob is ahead of Spooner. And he makes it for P1 Of course, Spooner is really, really close now, and he will probably get him back on the main straight. The problem for Rob is now that all the guys behind are also really, really close and have the help of DRS and could potentially overtake him too. So he has to be really, really careful. He has to get a brilliant exit out of that last corner, and he has a good exit. Oh, and Spooner has a shit exit. He and D'Cunha touched there, I think. D'Cunha takes the position. Wispen's coming in. Wispen with the undercut. Wispen with the undercut on lap 5. Going into lap 6. Spooner touching the rear end of D'Cunha there. Hope there's no damage. Both will have the DRS. Spooner is using ERS like a magician. He's flying by. Inside, D'Cunha trying to stay around the outside. They're both side by side. Spooner is just slightly ahead. It's so close, side by side. Oh my god, you're making me sweat. Oh, they touch! D'Cunha pushing Spooner wide, having the inside line now. Spooner putting the nose in because of that move. I can understand that. Because D'Cunha just pushed him wide there. He had Spooner. He's just going purely aggressive on D'Cunha now. He didn't like that move. I can understand that. Mumram is now coming for Spooner. Moshe coming in. Moshe is coming into the pits. Spooner on the outside, backing off to get the DRS again on D'Cunha, who himself doesn't have it. 3 seconds for Spooner. And he's going for it now against D'Cunha. D'Cunha defending the inside. Spooner now on the outside, backing off for the moment. Paul and Zoo also into the pits. And I can tell you one thing. Zoo is not here to play, and Monram also not going for the dive after Spooner went a little bit wide there. Maybe Spooner has damage. It looks like it. He has a lot of understeer. Side by side with Monram, and Professor Zoo is trying to undercut everyone here because he's already on the soft tires. Monram and Spooner fighting really hard. Walterby sees his chance here. P4, he will have the DRS, going a little bit wide here. And Spooner coming in. Spooner coming into the pits. Mumram too. Both into the pits. Walterby P3. Nick really close behind him. P4. Both on mediums. D'Cunha P2 on softs. Rob still ahead on his mediums. Nick within DRS range outside of Walterby. And he has him. P3 for Nick. Only 1 second away from D'Cunha. Rob already 1.5 ahead of D'Cunha. So brilliant strategy by him right now. Mumram coming out of the pits like Spooner. And Castor already pitted also for the softs. 1 lap later than Professor Zoo. So that could play in his hands. But this race is far from being over by any means. We're just on lap 8 of 18. Jumping on board with Rob to see if he's coming in right now or if he's staying out for another lap. 10-second time penalty for Moshe. That's probably not because he cut a corner. That looks like he spun and ran over the whole grass there. Rob coming in. Nick and Walterby too. Pitting for soft, sorry. Pitting from mediums to soft. Scientist staying out for another lap. D'Cunha also staying out. So let's see if... Oh, Walter had damage. Walter has damage. Nick is already out. That's a free overtake. And Wispen, the one who did go for the undercut really, really early for mediums, is now up to P4. He's fighting with Rob right now. Side by side on that straight. And Wispen has him. Time to perfection for Wispen. Rob on softs, but that's not good for Rob. Because now he has to make his way through Wispen. Shouldn't be that hard, but he's losing that 1 lap behind Wisman now. Acuna coming around the last corner, pitting now. I think Scientist will do the same. He's staying out for another lap. Okay, that could cost him in the end. Which will also cost someone is the 5-second penalty that Acuna just got. Because that's absolutely horrible. Where's Wisman? Why is Wisman in P12? What happened to Wisman? Oh, I think he has damage. His car's... Why is his car ghosted? He has damage! Oh no, Wisman has damage! But that means at the same time that Rob is in P2. And he's ahead of Nick. Only 1 second ahead of him. But he is in P2 and that means net P1 for the moment. But Nick is flying right now. He's absolutely flying. Heartbreak for the Red Bulls here, like the Williams experience at Zandvoort, 1 DNF and the last place at the moment. Absolutely bloody horrible for the Red Bulls here, Brazil. Let's see where Professor Zoo is right now. He is in P5. Scientist in the pits, and Zoo will probably get him. That means P4 for him. So his undercut really worked, but his tires will be dead at the end of the race. Coming out in front of Scientist, his gap to Acuna is over 3 seconds, so no DRS for him. We got an overtake here. Walterby against Mumram. Walterby on softs, P6 for him. He's hunting down Scientists now, both on fresh softs. Mumram, 3 seconds to his name. And Professor Zoo right now in net P3 because Acuna has that 5-second time penalty. Rob doing a brilliant job at the moment, staying in P1. Mumram is losing places. He had a little moment here. Was ghosted for a sec, which means he was probably off track. Spooner and Casto gain positions. Casto really close behind Paul now. Casto on softs, Paul on mediums. DRS here, no ERS usage. Because he will need the ERS on the next straight to defend from Paul. Spooner going for the attack against Paul. Side by side, good move. Spooner P8, Paul P9. Castor up to P7, 2.5 behind Walterby, who is really close behind Scientist, who himself is really close behind Professor Zoo, who can't gain a lot on Acuna at the moment. Nick within DRS range of Rob now. We will have a lot of spicy laps coming up. Only lap 12 at the moment. We're staying on board with Scientist, who's really close behind Professor Zoo. And he will get the DRS now. He will overtake Professor Zoo. But what about Walterby? Is he also able to overtake Professor Zoo now? He should do to not be the third car in the train. Rob with the 3-second time penalty. That's fucking pain. Nick with DRS here against Rob. Inside, outside. Try to attack him. Rob defending. And Zoo is going for the re-overtake against Scientist. Around the outside. Scientist still ahead by half a car length. Zoo backing off. Walterby right there. Right behind Professor Zoo. And because of that fight, Castle was able to close in on Walterby. Only 1.6. We've been at 2.5 one lap ago. Walterby really close to Professor Zuno. Both at DRS. Walterby has 80% ERS left. Zoo only 17. That could be the move now. On board with Walter, but he's not using it. So he's just staying ahead, Professor Zoo. Behind Professor Zoo, sorry. Seeing the red light flashing now of Scientist and Zoo. That should give him hope. Mumrum in the pits now from P11. But that should give Walterby a lot of hope. D'Cunha with a 3-second time penalty to his name, which adds up to 8 seconds after 5 for speeding in the pit lane. And now could be Walterby's time. He could overtake Professor Zoo on the next straight and then go for Scientist, because he doesn't want Scientist to run away with that lead ahead of those guys. So Walterby has to do something now. And he's doing it. But he has to do more, because he has to get within that 1 second range to Scientist. Good for him is he has enough ERS left and the gap is under 1 second. So he has DRS to defend from Professor Zoo, and he has more ERS also to defend that. But for now he just stays behind Scientist to prepare his move against him on the next lap or the lap after. And he can also see D'Cunha there. So right now that's net P2. Sorry, 3. Because Rob and D'Cunha will go back. So 5 minus 2 is 3. If you can count. So he has to overtake Scientist to get net P2. Was a little bit ahead on that count, but it is what it is. Castle's gap to Professor Zoo now 2.2 seconds. Of course, Walterby and Zoo had the advantage of using DRS on both straights. Casto didn't have that advantage. And Scientist is getting closer to D'Cunha within DRS range now. Both low on ERS, but Scientist on softs and DRS. Rob and Nick are fighting very, very hard. Scientist staying behind D'Cunha. Walterby getting a little bit closer to get the DRS again. And as long as Professor Zoo stays in that group, he will have the DRS and has nothing to fear from Casto. Scientist coming for the overtake down the inside, not going for it completely, not committing to it. At the 3 seconds, 3 seconds for Casto, at the 3 seconds to Rob's name. They used very good here, because he only loses 1 position to Nick. The gap to D'Cunha is more than 5 seconds. And as long as D'Cunha can stay ahead, it's a good cushion for Rob here. Oh, Nick also now with the penalty. So the fight at the front is really for the lead for the win, and D'Cunha just says goodbye. He just says goodbye. He's gone. Oh my God, Scientist P3 without any work. Walterby coming. Back it up. Maybe going for the next straight. Around the center S's. More than 60% ERS left. I think he will just stay behind Scientist. There's no big pressure. Nick overtaking Rob. Man, this is for the race win. This is for the podium. Man, what the fuck is going on? What a race this is. Walterby still with DRS, using a little bit of ERS now to get closer to Scientist. We are on the last lap. Rob is going for the overtake against Nick. 30% for Rob, 17 for Nick. Can Rob defend this? Can he do it? DRS for Nick. Rob now down on DRS, but Rob stays ahead for the moment. Walter B with the penalty. Overtaking Scientist now. But now he has a fucking penalty to his name. That's a proper heartbreak for the Dutchman. He has to push so fucking hard on this last lap and just hoping for a mistake by Scientist or Zoo. Maybe Scientist and Zoo. Jumping back on board with Nick. Only 3/10 behind Rob. Scientist with the penalty! Rob B is clear of Scientist and Zoo is still there. What the fuck? Nick really close. 25% of ERS, both using everything. DRS coming into play for Nick. 4/10 behind Rob. Going down the line. Rob is winning. Brazil out of Nick. Walter B coming around the last corner. Finishing that race in P3 on track, but Professor Zoo is the lucky guy. P3 for him. Walter B P4. Scientist P5. Casto P6. Dicunia coming home in P7, but losing a lot of positions. Paul up to P7, Spooner P8, Dicunia P9, Moshe coming across the line, P10 for him. Mumram now around the last corner after his 2 pit stops he had to do. In P11 at the moment. Finishing this race in P11, around 5 seconds behind him. Durdan finishing in P12, and Wisbon in P13. Goes the call. That means he left the session early and will not be counted in for the final results here at Brazil. What a fucking race. What a fucking race. Huge entertainment. A lot of action. Absolutely tremendous fight for P1 here, and Rob got the win at Brazil. Nick P2, Professor Zoo in P3 doing the aggressive undercut and getting a good payback at the end of the day for not getting a penalty, jumping from P5 to P3 in his Haas. Here we have our final results. Rob finishing that race in P1. Nick P2, Professor Zoo P3. Let's not forget, Nick and Rob started P12, respectively P14. They are on the podium. Walter B, P4. Scientist P5. Casto P6. Paul in P7, followed by Spooner and Dicunia. Moshe in P10. Mumram in P11. Durdan P12. Wisbon left the session early, which means he will be not counted in for the results, and Eskimo with the DNF on the first lap after an incident with Durdan. What a fucking race. I think we all have to let that sink in for a moment or two, and I of course will leave you alone with these thoughts and with what happened here, because the stream will end in a few seconds. Of course, Darwin League is coming up in a few minutes. Thank you all for joining, for watching, for suffering with me, and I wish you a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, everyone. That's the most important thing, and we will hear from each other next week. See you and take care.